All right, everyone. I'm so excited today. And it's Friday, so happy Friday to everyone. And I'm so excited about my guest today. Today, I have Renee Bobb with me. I met Renee. She's the Western region leader for Bunker Labs. And when I became a city leader, I was introduced to Renee. She's an amazing woman. She's done some great things. She's a Navy veteran. And so I asked her to come on the show. She agreed, and I'm so excited to have her here. So let me tell you a little bit more about her. She's an award-winning entrepreneur. Like I said, she's a regional executive director for Bunker Lab. She's an empowerment coach, a philanthropist, an author, a trainer. But what is so impressive and so excited to hear about, she is the owner of the Music City Icon Pro Women's Basketball Team. And she is here to tell us the story or how she became a owner of a women's professional basketball team. How awesome is that? Renee, welcome.
Thank you, Anne. I appreciate you having me here. I'm so excited. And again, happy Friday, happy Good Friday to everyone.
Oh, yeah, it is Good Friday. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so Renee, walk us through this because you are a Navy veteran. How did you go from leaving the Navy and transferring over and becoming an owner of a basketball team?
So my story actually began in Staten Island, New York. When I was in middle school, I noticed that I was the tallest person, not only out of the students, but the teachers also. So I had this guy that said, well, Renee, let me show you how to use your talent and skill to escape the project environment, because we were living in Staten Island, New York at the time, in Stapleton Projects. So every day after school, he would take me and show me how to play basketball. From that, I ended up being an All-American basketball player in high school. And then I actually got a scholarship to play basketball at Cheyney State University in Pennsylvania, which was Division I. And so from there, when everything was said and done, I actually had the awesome opportunity of playing NATO basketball for the United States Navy. So it gave me an opportunity to travel around the world, not only representing the Navy as a telecommunications operator, but I got a chance to play basketball. So when I got ready to make the transition out of the military, I actually tried out, not to age myself, but I tried out for the first WNBA team in Madison Square Garden.
Oh my God.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't make it, the team, but what an amazing experience. So fast forward many, many years, I'm an empty nester. The kids have gone off to college. My daughter's working full time, has a great life. And so the opportunity presented itself. I was teaching an entrepreneurship class, and in the class, there was a young lady that was like 6'3", and I was like, oh my gosh, you're so tall. She started telling me about her experience playing in a semi-professional basketball league in Nashville, Tennessee. So she said, well, have you ever thought about owning a team? I was like, no. But then there was nothing that was stopping me. So I ended up meeting with the owner of that team, and he was a dad. He was a husband. He was working full time. He was in school full time. He had like 5 kids. He had so much going on, and he really didn't want the team to continue. So I ended up acquiring the team from him, renaming the team, rebranding the team, and calling it the Music City Icons. And so we actually were getting ready to go into season number 4, but of course the Corona has kind of put things on hold.
Oh man. But I mean, so what was it like when, okay, now you're the owner. What was the feeling when you first stepped in front of your team? What was that like? What did you say to them?
Yeah, it was so exciting because I felt like I was looking at them, but I was also looking at myself. It's like it had come full circle. And I think that with all the experience that I have now and, all the resources, I couldn't wait to impart not only the basketball side, but I also work with them to help them to get their credit in order, help them to get their resume together. And the tagline is building opportunities beyond basketball. So I wanted these women to kind of really be prepared for life beyond the basketball court. Say if they got hurt, something happened, what will be next for them? A lot of the players are college graduates, so they at least have their degree. They can look in different areas. But what I found is that even though they have their degree, they weren't doing anything with that degree. So I wanted to kind of be instrumental in helping them not only pursue their basketball dreams, but also be able to assist them with their career beyond basketball.
Oh, that's really great. And I'm sure they're very grateful for that. So what was your first game as your first time owner and going to that game? What was that like?
Man, so the first home game was really a roller coaster ride because I was super duper excited. We had already pre-sold over 400 tickets to the game. I had my referees in place. I had purchased all the snacks for the concession stand. I mean, we paid for the gym. We were playing at Fisk University, historical Fisk University at the time. So I couldn't sleep the night before the game because I was so excited, all these expectations. And then I get a text message, not a phone call, not an email, but a text message from the owner of the Alabama team that was supposed to be coming to Nashville to play against us. And he let me know that there was some sort of storm going on in Alabama, in Birmingham, and he wasn't going to be able to bring his team to come play the game. And it's like, this is a text message. And so I was so upset. And what's interesting is, of course, I need to be concerned about them traveling and the storm and stuff like that. But that wasn't my first thought. My first thought was like, oh my gosh, I spent all this money. I have all these people coming to see us play. It's been a big deal. It's been in the newspaper and on TV. Everybody's looking forward to the game. And so here he is texting me, talking about he cannot come and play. So after we text back and forth and I realized that they weren't coming, I kind of did my ritual. My ritual always every day is to kind of, be very grateful, do my gratitude list before I get out of bed, and then do my praying and my meditating. And then, I start my day. So I kept that foundation structured. And then the next thing that I did was I started reaching out to anyone that I knew that played in the WNBA, the NBA, or the NFL. So one thing that I learned from, just from experience is making sure that I build a great support system of people that have been down the path that I desire to go. Because I didn't know anything about owning a basketball team. So I had to lean on the experience of what I call them the 1% of people that made it to that athletic level. So I reached out to them via text message. And another thing too is that I didn't let the players know. I didn't let the staff know either because
Right,
I
so
didn't want them to start panicking.
yeah, so you're carrying this on your own. You're like, how much time did you have? So what's the timeline here?
So the game was at 6 p.m. and I got this notification at 6 a.m. So I had a total of 12 hours.
Holy moly. Okay. So you're making calls, you're reaching out to your network, and like, what's your game plan? You try to get different players to come out and play your team. Like, what are you imagining or trying to make happen?
And yeah, that's what I was doing. I was trying to put together a team of people that can play basketball, that have experience playing basketball. Again, people that I didn't know that were willing to come and help me out of this situation. So I contacted the league to let them know what happened. And the league owner instructed me to contact other teams that are in the league that maybe somebody that's 2 hours or 3 hours away, they can come and play against us. But guess what? They all had games too, so nobody could actually come and play. So, I cut my phone off, because I was texting back and forth. I cut my phone off for a minute. And I said, again, saying some prayers. When I turned my phone back on, I had the commitment from 12 individuals that I did not know that made the commitment to come to Nashville and play against us. So some of them were already in Nashville, but some of them were coming from Chattanooga. A couple of players were coming down from Atlanta. And I was so, so grateful and happy. So I got the players, but guess what? I have a bigger problem. I don't have any uniforms. So I end up getting in my car and going to Academy Sports and buying like 12 jerseys, not knowing the sizes of anybody, buying the jerseys. Then I ran to Walmart and I brought those iron-on numbers. And so I rushed home and I'm crying and I'm ironing on these numbers saying, oh my gosh, people don't think I'm a fraud.
Oh my Lord.
So we have the uniforms all set, and we get to the gym like, an hour before the game, and my team is there. They're all excited and pumped up, and then in come these 12 players, and oh my goodness, I was so excited because, again, I didn't know any of them, and I had the uniforms there for them, and we end up playing the game. The gym was packed out. Nobody had any idea that this wasn't the team that we were supposed to be playing. And the game was amazing. We kept going back and forth, the lead changes. It was one of the best experiences ever. And we end up losing the game by like 3 points. But did we really lose? Of course not. Look at all the experience that I've gained. And I had to really tap into my military experience, because come hell or high water, we're gonna have a game.
Oh boy. Okay, so when did your players figure out this wasn't the team though? Like, when did you have to clue them in and say, okay, this isn't quite the team, but this is who you're playing and we're going for it? What was that
Not Yeah,
announcement
not
like?
after the game. After, when the game was over, not until after.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Oh
Nope.
my God. That is incredible.
I was
Holy
afraid
moly.
that I was going to be found out, and I was so nervous. But it was our first home game, and it was
Yeah.
amazing.
So
And so,
who played
uh,
as their coach? Like, who acted as the other team's coach? And did those players know each other, or it just came together? They were just ready to play some basketball, and that was that.
yeah, only a few of the players knew each other, and then the young lady who pulled together 3 players, she ended up being the head coach.
That's
And so it was
crazy.
interesting how they came together and they had a formula, and they were so excited to play basketball because, again, they too got a chance to kind of fulfill another dream of playing basketball. But some of the players played in the WNBA, some of them played overseas, and they were just home, during this time, which was perfect.
That is a crazy, amazing story. Now, I want to back up a little bit because you mentioned obviously you bought this team, you acquired this team, and you didn't know anything about running a team. And you said, you touched your network to educate yourself to learn. Can you talk a little bit more about that? How the process was, how long it took?
Yes, and so in the pro arena, there is a league, and so right now there are 6 different leagues that women professional basketball players can play in. So the league that we were playing in, they have one owner, and at the time they had over 36 different teams in that particular league. And so what's interesting is that they have a training system for owners where, of course, you have to pay a fee in order to be a team owner. And then they have the rules and the regulations, and they kind of really support you with how to recruit the players, how to raise money to actually fund the team, how to get your referees, how to acquire a gym in order to be able to host your basketball team. And so they had a lot of the templates already together. And what I had to do is kind of put a Nashville brand on those particular templates.
Oh wow. So it's a lot of work. Like it's a lot of coordinating, a lot of planning. Like this is not so when people think of being an owner, they of course they're probably thinking like being an NFL owner or NBA owner, to where a lot of it is set, right? It's done for them, but a lot of this you yourself are having to do it all.
You're absolutely correct. And what's interesting is my friends, they felt like I should be sitting in the stands, greeting the fans, with my bling on and my fur coat. It is not like that. I'm out there getting ice for the players, I'm putting water in the coolers. I'm paying the referees. I'm making sure the DJ is playing the right kind of music because we were in a Christian league. So we couldn't have all that, music with cuss words and stuff like that. So monitoring every aspect, and not only the liability of people being in the gym, and people are coming because you're playing the game. So you had to make sure your insurance was intact, had to have the police there. It was a lot, and it still is a lot.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. So how many people do you have helping you out to do all of this?
So I have a head coach, an assistant coach, a general manager, and about 15 volunteers that come on board every season to be able to help me out. So they
Ah,
have been very instrumental. And then the players do some to help out as well, but I really want them to focus on, developing their basketball skill and doing very well in the basketball game.
So how many games do you play in the season?
We have 10 games in a season, so we tend to do 5 games at home and then 5 games away, which is really an interesting thing to kind of be in a van, traveling to Atlanta with some 20-year-olds. Very interesting experiences.
I can only imagine. So, have you had a winning? I know this was going to be. You've only had 3 seasons so far, but has there been a winning season? How's the team been doing?
Yeah, so we actually came in second place in the Atlantic region. We were runner-ups year number 2, which we were really excited about. And so that was one of the highlights. And we ended up get trophies. It helped with recruiting players to actually come into play on our particular team. And then after that season, the league that we were playing in, the owner decided to sell the league. And so that means that all these other leagues started popping up. And so we decided to play in a different league last year, and we had a challenging time. But, hopefully this next season will be a lot better, more recruitment. And so now my strategy is I'm working with agents that have basketball players that play overseas and inviting them to come to Nashville and be able to play with the Music City Icons. So upping my talent pool.
Oh, wow. That's so impressive. That's incredible. Now, you do a lot of great other impressive work. And I do want to talk a little bit about Bunker Labs and how they played into helping you with your success with the basketball team and the other things that you've done. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So what's interesting is when I purchased the team, again, I didn't know anything about running a basketball team. So I was introduced to Bunker Lab, and they had a cohort of veteran entrepreneurs that they were taking through this program that will train you on how to operate your business, how to grow your business, and how to expand your business also. So I decided to take the basketball team through the cohort, which was amazing because you had the opportunity to have your peers around you, which were veteran entrepreneurs and veteran spouses. And you could really be open and be honest about what you were going through, which I love. And then they really gave some great feedback, and it helped me to kind of think through the whole process of making sure I knew who my customers were. I knew how to fund the basketball team, that I was crystal clear about how I was going to market and advertise the team. But then most importantly, is kind of looking at the big picture, like where are we going with this Music City Icons? Like, is my goal one day to own a WNBA basketball team? So that's kind of like the ultimate of the ultimate.
So
And
wait a
so
second, is that a goal, an ultimate goal?
I don't know. That's a lot of work. So maybe one day, maybe one day. And what's interesting that I've had the opportunity to kind of talk to a couple of WNBA, team, like the head coaches and people that work for WNBA teams, and it's very interesting dynamic. So, maybe one day. So with Bunker Labs, when I decided to do my fundraising, I actually did a crowdfunding campaign through I Fund Women. And so we actually did it at the National Entrepreneur Center. They actually allowed us to set up a vendor table, and they were having fundraising day. And so from that, we were able to raise a lot of funds for the basketball team. And then, of course, when Bunker Labs, they had their big event, we had an opportunity to kind of pitch to all the veterans as well. We were able to get donations there. So I think that Bunker Lab was very instrumental in not only supporting me as a veteran entrepreneur, but giving me exposure to people that I normally would not have had the opportunity to get in front of. And what's interesting is I went to a Bunker Brew that they had in Nashville, and I'm there thinking that everything is cool. I'm eating my food. They had an award ceremony, and I'm not really paying attention to what's going on, just eating and enjoying my food. And then Blake Hogan, he says that we are having an award for someone. and it's the Get the Job Done Award for veteran that gets the job done award. And the award goes to Renee Bobb. And I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I had my plate of food there, and everybody's looking at me. And so Blake calls me up to the front, and he says, well, you know what? Before you receive your award, you have to tell us the story about your first game, the one I just finished telling you. So it was amazing. So they have really been very instrumental. And when the opportunity presented itself for the West Regional Executive Director, I just felt like it was a good fit for me to take my talents and my skills and my experience and be able to reach a larger market of veteran entrepreneurs and the community.
Oh, and you've done such a great job. You're so supportive and encouraging. But I just want to point out to everyone that's listening how making that decision to jump in, to have the first of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take over this team, has led you on such this incredible journey. And obviously it has really pushed you, but you have grown, you have learned, you've built such an incredible network out of it, and it's just launched your life into a whole other direction, and that's so amazing. And that's what happens when you take some risk and you take those leaps, and you ask for the help. I mean, that's one thing. You are not afraid to ask for help, ask for assistance, and to dig to dig, where are my opportunities, what's out there. And that's the entrepreneurial spirit, absolutely, for sure. And I love it. That's so amazing. So I really hope that next year season gets back to normal and you see yourself having some victories in the new league. So it's very exciting. And I hope that I get the opportunity to go to a game. So that would be really awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
I hope so too.
Yeah, so we're going to shift over and we're going to play the first time lightning round.
Okay.
So the way that this works is that I'm going to give you 10 different options. If it's something you've done before, you would swipe up as if you were on the app, it would be up. If it's something you've never done, not interested, it's left. And if it's something you've never done, would like to do, then it's right. Okay, so play mini golf. You've done that before. Are you a good mini golf player?
Absolutely. I for any sport or anything that I do, I always say that I'm the best. Even if I do it the first time, like I'm the queen of ping pong, which I'm not, but I'm gonna get out there and do the best that I can.
Absolutely. You gotta go in there with a winning attitude.
Exactly.
All right. Grow a garden.
Yeah.
You've had a garden before. What was your first gardening experience like? Do you have a green thumb?
Not at all. So what's interesting is when I was younger, my mother, who's actually from Lavinia, Tennessee, she would make us travel from New York to Tennessee every year to visit my grandmother. And so my grandmother had a farm and she had a garden. And so she would tell us to come and pick peas. And I'm like, well, you know what, Grandma, when we need peas, we go to the grocery store down the street, we don't pick no peas. So she forced us to learn gardening and learn how to can. And her explanation is that you should be able to grow the food that you're going to eat. So we all had our own little plots there, and we actually learned how to garden. And, it's so prevalent for today how, now it would be great if I had a garden to be able to grow my own food.
Yeah. Oh man, good for Grandma to teach you guys that. What a great lesson to have. All right. Eat at a food truck.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. Do you remember the first food truck experience that you had? What kind of food it was?
Yeah, Tony Robbins had that big conference that he does across the country. I attended the one that they had in Nashville, and during the lunch break, they had a line of food trucks that you can visit downtown Nashville. And so I went to the Lobster Bisque, I guess it's called. Oh my goodness. It was expensive, but the food was amazing. It was worth every penny.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Jump on a trampoline.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and I know this is probably gonna be up, but I want to hear the story. Get featured in a magazine.
Oh, yes.
All right, what was your first magazine feature?
So what's interesting is that I'm currently going through all of my paperwork in storage, and I came across a folder that had a lot of articles of when I was featured in different magazines. And so one of the magazines that I was featured in was Sister for Sister, and it was way back in the 90s, the late 90s. And the article was about the fact that I was in the military. I was a single mom. I was working on my master's degree at Norfolk State University, and I still found time to volunteer in the community. So I've always been that kind of person. And it's so interesting that I'm watching my kids be the same thing. Like they volunteer in the community, they do 5 and 6 different things at one time. And that's kind of how, my mother raised us to kind of be very proactive and no wasting of time.
Oh, well, that's so awesome. And it's passed down generation to generation, and then you get to look back on it. And oh, that's great. Well, speaking of volunteer, that's my next one. Volunteer at an animal shelter.
That would be no. So I would go left, right?
So, while left is never done it, don't want to do it, and right is never done it, but would do it.
Left all the way.
Really? You're not an animal
Yeah.
person?
I'm not. Oh my goodness. And both of my kids have little dogs, and oh my goodness. I'm just, yeah, I love them from a distance, but I've had so many bad experiences with dogs growing up in New York, and only because we would be at places that we weren't supposed to be, like apples, getting apples out of somebody's yard that has a dog. So yeah, no.
All right. Very well then. Okay. Participate in a talent show.
Oh yeah.
All right. You got to tell us what was your first one and what talent? What did you do?
So growing up, my mother would always have me and my friends to dance. And one of the songs was Boogie Oogie Oogie, way back when. And so whenever the song would come on and she had friends over, she would say, Renee, you and your friends come and perform. So from the time that I was really young, my mother always had me on stage performing. I performed at elementary school talent shows, middle school talent shows. And my gifting was singing. So interestingly, when I became an adult, I really desired to be a singer. So I am someone that when I'm singing in church, I close my eyes and I'm singing. And when I open up my eyes, my family has moved away from me because I cannot sing at all. And so I took singing lessons. And so the lady, she was like, Renee, you have a beautiful spirit and, you have a beautiful speaking voice, but you are really wasting your money trying to sing. I mean, I pray that I could sing, but that's not my gift now.
Oh, well, I mean, you went all out for it though.
Yep.
Awesome. Oh, okay. Crochet.
Left.
Left. Not interested in doing crochet. Okay. Go snowmobiling or either ride or drive a snowmobile.
Yep.
You've done that. Awesome.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
so I was stationed in Crete, Greece. And in Italy also, we actually had the opportunity when we were on our, 40-hour break, but we didn't have duty. We actually had the opportunity to get on snowmobiles and go up and down the hill and ride. So very
Oh,
excited.
awesome. Great. Man, I'm bummed out I didn't get it right on you yet. All right. So go go to Jazz Fest. I'm feeling it's up
Oh
probably.
yeah,
Yeah, figured you had done that.
yeah.
I think you're the first one I never got a swipe right on. Bad selection on my part. Gonna have to
Yeah,
gonna have to
yeah.
find what your right is. So I found a swipe right for Dave, and he's never done hula hoop, and he's willing to do it. So I think next time you're in town, we're gonna go buy a hula hoop for Dave.
I would love that. And so I would say my right is I want to go skydiving. When this is all said and done, that is something that I so desire to do. I've never done it before, scared to death to do it, but I feel like I'll be pushing the envelope and I want to try it.
Well, that is awesome. That is a beautiful thing to have on your list and well worth doing. So, if you need somebody to be up there to give you a little push,
Right.
I will go help you out. And because I love you, not because I want to push you out of a plane. All right. So another two other questions. So today's prompt for first time storytelling is the first time you were out of the country. So the first new country you visited. What was that country?
So the first country that I visited was Keflavik, Iceland. And so you know how when you are in A school, I was in Raymond A school in San Diego, California, and they give you this sheet of paper where you get to pick the duty stations that you want to go to. I picked Hawaii, California, like, all these warm, Puerto Rico, all these warm places. And then when they give me my orders to Keflavik, Iceland, I just was like, who did I piss off? I mean, like, what did I do? What did I do wrong? And so I tell my family that I'm going to Keflavik, Iceland, and we're like, where is Iceland? Like, we just, it never dawned on me that they do anything in Iceland. So I had to go to Iceland. And I can remember traveling there. Again, the flight was like 14 hours, the longest flight that I've ever been on in my life. And so when I get to Iceland, it's cold, it's snow, it's terrible. I mean, it's just like, I couldn't believe it. And so, you had to go to your barracks, you had to do your check-in. And so it was just challenging because I had never been to a place that was so cold, snowy, and then they had these whiteouts where you couldn't see in front of your face because the wind would be blowing and there's so much snow. And when I got to the dorm, they had these thick curtains, and I was wondering, well, why do they have curtains so thick? It's because they get so much sunlight and then so much darkness. Exactly. And so if you don't have any darkness, how are you going to sleep? So there'll be times that I'm going out, and it would be like 9 o'clock at night and it's still daylight out, which was so interesting. But what an interesting experience, because it was a NATO base, it was hazardous duty. And so what I did, because my first duty station, I would volunteer to do over and beyond. So I constantly kept winning awards, and those awards would give me free time off. And so when I had free time off, I would take the plane to other parts of Iceland to learn more and more about the culture.
Oh, that's amazing. But that's a crazy first duty station for sure.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of people that are going to get a first duty station like that.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
18 months. And so after the 18 months, they realized it was too long. And then now it's like on 12 months. Like, they cut it down because they realized that 18 months was far too long. And what saved me was playing basketball. And unfortunately, I did not have great cooking skills. So I met some young ladies that were from the South, and they was like, Renee, you're not gonna be able to get a husband unless you can cook. So they took me under their wing, and they began to show me every Friday night. They would actually have these cooking classes to be able to teach me how to cook. And it was amazing. I have friends that I met in Iceland that I still have today.
Oh, so it was meant to be in the end. Now, did you get hooked up with a good duty station after Iceland?
So after Iceland, I actually, again, that's that same little sheet, but it was time for me to go on a ship. And
Okay.
so, the officer at the time was like, because of my personality and like the fact that I'm just like very active, they didn't want to put me on a regular ship. They actually gave me a USNS ship, and I was on a USNS Henry J. Kaiser. And so on a USNS ship, it's only 25 to 30 military personnel. The rest are all civilians. And we had our own staterooms, and you shared a bathroom with somebody else, and you ordered your meals from a menu. and if you were in good relationship with the cooks, they would bring the food to your room. So it was so different from being on a regular ship, and it was like being on a love boat. I mean, it was amazing. The only bad thing about it is that you stayed out a lot on the water. And so, you would have these 8-month mid cruises that you would do, and we would literally be out there for a long period of time. And of course, then Desert Storm happened, and we actually were responsible for bringing mail and oil to the ships that were actually going on the front line.
Oh, wow. You've had very interesting things happen to you in your life. I'm sure there's so much more to learn. That's
Oh my goodness.
incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So, final question is, how are you making the best of the current situation with what's happening with the COVID-19?
Several things. One is that I sat down and I made a list of all the things, all the projects that I've been meaning to work on that I did not have time to do, before the virus. So I'm knocking off some of those projects, but then also I'm making sure that I walk every single day for at least 1 hour. I'm of course spending time talking to other city leaders and kind of talking to other bunker individuals to make sure they are good to go. And then I think most importantly, I actually, with the business that I'm currently running now, I've taken my live workshops and seminars that I've been doing and just doing them via webinar. So I'm mastering Zoom, I'm learning more about Zoom, and I'm doing these webinars. And interestingly, the book publishing webinar that I'm doing currently is a free webinar, and we have like 32 people that join every single week to hear more about how to write, market, and publish their own books.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Well, not surprised that you would make the very best out of any situation that comes your way. And so that is wonderful. And I really appreciate you taking the time for joining me this morning and doing this. Like I said, I love hearing your stories and learning more about your first times.
Thank you. I do appreciate you having me today.